Welcome, guys, to How the Frack We Got Here, a show that takes the news and events of the week and try to make sense out of it all. I'm your host and most, Will Buchanan, and on this show, we simply are all about the facts. There are plenty of news stations out there that simply want to do anything short but inform you. Here at How the Frack We Got Here, that's all we believe in. We go up to the left, we go up to the right, we go up to the middle of independence, we go after all sides because there's more than one side of a story to everything. And you need to know it all in order to actually formulate your own opinion. And that's what we try to do here at How the Frack We Got Here. Thanks for listening, and hold on. It's going to be fun.
All right, guys. Today's date. Shoot, that's bad. Not June. May 14th, 2025. And this is How the Frack We Got Here. I am your host, the most slightly off kilter, Will Buchanan, and I come, guys, like we always do on the show. We do try to give you all the facts and nothing but the facts, along with the news as well. We do pride ourselves on being a news podcast, which means that we do cite our sources from the most reputable sites with award-winning journalism. We do not do sensational news like Fox News, The Blaze, Newsmax, whatever extreme left or extreme right you get your views from. We simply don't do that. We simply just give you the facts, and that's it. At top of that, guys, we do try to watch our language on the show, but let's be honest, words fly. At the same time, there may be things that might be shown on here that may be too intense for younger viewers, so viewer discretion is advised. Aside from that, welcome. So, if you're wondering why I called this latest episode Coming to America, the white African version, let's just start with the first story, and it kind of goes all downhill from there.
South Africans arriving as refugees at Dulles Airport outside Washington today on a plane chartered by the State Department. A process that usually takes years, greeted by a top-ranking U.S. diplomat.
Welcome. Welcome to the United States of America.
And this from President Trump.
It's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about, but it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white, but whether they're white or black makes no difference to me.
The president signed an executive order in February calling them victims of unjust racial discrimination from the country's black majority, something the South African government vigorously denies. While today the administration also canceled temporary refugee status for as many as 14,000 Afghans already in the U.S., including many who served alongside the U.S. in the war. All face persecution from the Taliban if they are forced to go back. Veterans groups reacting.
How do American veterans of the war in Afghanistan feel about the way their Afghan interpreters and allies are being treated?
We're pissed off. This is absolutely insane that we would treat people this way.
The welcome for white South Africans also in sharp contrast to another executive order the president signed the day he took office, suspending new refugee admissions for everyone else, including Black Sudanese escaping genocide and Latin Americans fleeing violent gangs.
Some tonight question whether Elon Musk played a role in winning refugee status for his fellow white South Africans, because he has repeatedly posted on his platform X about their plight. Lester?
Yeah. Look, let's also be honest here. Really and truly, let's be honest here. Yeah. And it's I every time we wonder what F-47 is going to do. We wonder what F-47 is going to do next, what craziness is going to come from, what BS is he going to try to run. And again, we have Coming to America. Welcome, white South Africans. Although I think it's interesting that he signed his first day in office, he signed an executive order to basically deport, to escort illegal immigrants out of the country. He's also shut the door on people that are wanting to do the legal way of becoming legalized citizens or refugees in the U.S. But for this small group of white people, oh, sure, come on through, no red tape, welcome to America. But please, try. I beg of you, F-47, and everybody, including Fox News, who's doing their hardest, who's working overtime to make this work in your favor, because you won't make it make sense. This and again, if you've been around a lot of people, we've all said the same thing. They're not hiding their racism anymore. The hoods have been off. They put on suits now. And some of them you call representatives or senators. Some of them you may call your neighbors. But trust and believe there's one big ass gringo in the White House who's like, you people won't even write about the genocidal that's going on in South Africa right now. The South African government says, what the frack talking about? These people were in these, well, their land was taken away from them. No, there's no story about that. They've been persecuted. By who? See, here's the crazy part about this. South Africa's majority is black. Yes, the white people there are the minority. But does anybody find it funny that now he decides to take South African refugees, the same ones with fellow co-president idiot Elon Musk? Because don't forget, Elon Musk is from South Africa. Now, granted, he's daddy's little mind boy. He's still got daddy's mind money. But again, a part of the very same structure of apartheid, a part of the very same structure that led to the most systemic racism outside of the U.S. But no one is questioning why 59 South African refugees, we question it. But it's amazing that the White House and, of course, the state news run propaganda, Fox News, because we've said it on here all the time. Fox News is not a news station. The Dominion lawsuit proved that. Although I wish Dominion never settled, I really want to see Fox News go down in flames, but here we are. That being said, I know what I'm about to show you guys is Fox News, but I really want to show Fox News in this. Bear with me, because, again, you would think Fox News, all right-wing, Bud Light, propaganda bullshit, would sit there and hold the president accountable. Hold F-47 accountable to, this is against everything we stand for. This is terrible. This is bullshit. Did I mention it was Fox News?
They're pretty upset, as you see, and the same media that is against just letting these 59 refugees from South Africa into the country, they were totally fine with letting nearly 10 million migrants cross our border. There was no outcry when illegal immigrants did not have to get COVID tests or show any ID to board domestic flights. And where was the concern over the migrants released into our communities who were on the terror watch list? Emily, so 10 million coming over, it's just fine. We can turn our heads, but 59, let's have an outcry.
I just shake my head at the comfort and that, again, insular quality of these talking heads in media that love to summarize and overgeneralize a situation that they likely know nothing about, including, and in particular, that one gentleman who said, well, only a small handful of farmers have been killed in the last 10 years. I used to live in South Africa, and what I will say from personal experience is that the relationships and the conversations I had there during my time living there show a very complicated and multi-generational impact and system that 1 minute on air cannot summarize. And therefore, refugee status, I thought we were supposed to open our arms to anyone of any color and any refugee status. So for me, I applaud the generosity of this country to open their arms to any refugee seeking solace here on our soil.
Lisa.
I mean, I just look, well, yeah, you look at 59 people versus like the millions that Joe Biden let into the country. I just look at it as, okay, so you look at the grounds of a refugee. It's someone escaping persecution or well-rounded fear of persecution on different things like religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, political opinion, race. And then you look at his announcement, the memorandum about why he took these people in. He says, he talks about the shocking disregard for citizens' rights in the Republic of South Africa. He mentions the Expropriation Act of 2024 enables the government of South Africa to seize ethnic minority agricultural property without compensation, that it's led to hateful rhetoric and government actions fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. So to me, it sounds like this meets the definition of what it means to be a refugee. I'll also just point out real briefly, there's video circulating on the internet of liberals outside of the New Jersey ICE detention facility blowing kisses to the illegal aliens. These are the same people in Martha's Vineyard who kicked them off the island in like 2 seconds when they arrived. So
it's true. And when the deputy...
Yeah. Do you see what I mean? You would think outside of the fact that the Fox News dress code is blonde, high-heeled, short skirts, and look attractive. Oh, and also a bald white man in the middle. But, you know, that's usually the Fox News news team standard. But you see what they did? It's like, oh, well, Biden's administration let millions of illegal immigrants in, and they didn't have to get COVID tested, and they didn't have to be on a terrorist watch list. And I just think that we need to be more concerned about people who are being ostracized by their governments. And I just think that we need to be more caring. We are a nation of immigrants. Do you hear the bullshit? Do you hear the bullshit? That's Fox News doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They're a state-run, they are running state-run propaganda to sit there and make you think, oh, well, we didn't have that bad problem. Because, again, the problem has always been immigration. South Africa's got nothing to do with this. And it's amazing that the government is coming back and saying these people aren't persecuted. They're not being ran off their land. They're not being treated as eminent domain. What the frack are you talking about? South Africa's like, what are you talking about? Don't throw us under the bus as a reason for you to turn around and want to bring in nearly 60 refugees and sit there and say, use them as a puff piece. That's what they're doing. At the same time, I love how they try to say, well, they weren't COVID tested. How do you know? They were all on terrorist watch lists. I'm sorry, how do you know? Because, again, do not believe the hype when it comes to Fox News. They are a entertainment network designed to scare napkins and sell stuff. That is it. And don't believe me, again, all they said was word salad. Only because people look at them and go, well, yeah, that would make sense. Biden did let a lot of people in under his watch. Well, excuse me. The whole thing was always going back to refugees. Well, what's the difference to a refugee? Well, were you fleeing persecution? Were you fleeing for fear of safety? Were you leaving a war-torn area? I'm sorry, a lot of people that you consider the legal immigrants that were coming through the borders, they qualify for that, as they were coming from countries and towns that were run by cartels, run by violent gangs, or war-torn countries. Because let's not forget, Ukraine and Afghanistan, Afghanis who actually helped the U.S. military search and fight the Taliban. You got to think, those soldiers were able to go home. The Afghans actually helped those soldiers. Some of them are still over there. And don't think for a second they're not Taliban targets. But it is amazing to me that those very same Afghans that helped our military were not given priority refugee status over 60 white folks from South Africa. So I can understand why the guy was pissed, because you got people over there risk their lives and probably their families' lives and not able to get to safety because a president decided that he needed a puff piece. And again, he says, well, I don't care if they're white or black. Really? See, this is why I wish sometimes, and here's how I know I will probably never be able to do this to F-47, because that'll probably be my first and last question I'll ever get on record. Because I'll sit there and say, oh, really? You don't care if they're white or black? Fix the problem down south. Fix the immigration system. Fix the immigration system. More immigration lawyers, judges, clerks, things of that nature. Fix it. If you truly don't care, I know it's bullshit. Because again, if you don't think F-47 is racist, keep in mind, this is the same guy that took 5 pages out of the New York Times to pretty much condemn the Central Park 5. And that was in his 30s. Condemned the Central Park 5. Now the exonerated 5, who, by the way, are now suing. So I hope they win. Because, again, the fact of the matter is, he's basically saying, you can keep lying to yourself, F-47, but you can't lie to the rest of us because, we don't live in the small bubble that you apparently are very at home with. You basically decided that I'm going to do as I say and tell everybody else not as I do. You wanted to bring in 60 white folks because, again, you want to appease someone. And again, we know it's Musk, which I'm still surprised. Haven't heard much from him in Doge, but I'm pretty sure he's still there. But there's another reason why I'm getting on F-47 tonight. But I've been saying this since his first presidential term. At the same time, I am not the first person that said it. Hillary Clinton had turned around and sat there and said, he is a compromised president. If you elect him, you are opening the world of the American up to dictators. Hillary said it. Then former Vice President Harris, she said it. If you elect him, this man is bought and paid for overseas. Again, he's at lies own pockets. Two very intelligent women said it. And now, because of his trip to the Middle East, how else can you sit there and say he's bought and paid for?
This morning, President Trump traveling to Qatar, the next stop on his Middle East tour marked by pomp and pageantry and controversy. The president showcasing extraordinarily close relationships with leaders once distanced from the U.S., including Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman.
I've seen tremendous unity, tremendous friendship.
President Trump even extending an olive branch to Iran, but only if it gives up its nuclear ambitions.
I want to make a deal with Iran.
The president today meeting briefly with Syria's new president, the former leader of a group the U.S. previously called a terrorist organization. After announcing he'll lift sanctions on Syria at the Saudi Crown Prince's urging.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
On Monday, the Crown Prince feting President Trump at a dinner after the president touted Saudi commitments to invest hundreds of billions of dollars in the U.S. The president lavishing his host with praise for what he says is his work to transform the region.
Mohammed, you sleep at night? How do you sleep? Huh?
But the stop today in Qatar coming with extra scrutiny after the country President Trump once called a funder of terrorism offered to gift the U.S. a luxury jumbo jet to be used as Air Force One.
You know, with the United States of America, I believe that we should have the most impressive plane.
Top Republicans among those questioning the proposed deal.
The plane poses significant espionage and surveillance problems. So we'll see how this issue plays out. But I certainly have concerns.
Three aviation experts tell NBC News converting a Qatari-owned 747 jet into a new Air Force One could cost more than $1 billion and take years to complete. On the flight here, the president told reporters he has also not ruled out traveling to Turkey later this week, where Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has offered to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin for the first time since Russia's brutal invasion began. The president teasing progress has been made in initial talks. Craig.
So let's think about this for a second, y'all. Number one, the fact that he wants to lift sanctions on Syria. Only because a certain prince in a certain country probably asked him to. Compromise number one. He also wants to basically say, Iran, we want to welcome you, but drop your nuclear ambitions. Granted, every other president has said the same thing, but they've held Iran to a standard. All I got there and say is, I wouldn't be surprised if the prince too whispers in F-47's ear and says, let Iran slide with their nuclear playset. But the biggest caveat of it all is the fact of the matter that he is willing to accept a luxury jet and turn that into Air Force One. A Democratic senator just went to jail for taking bribes from Egypt. The current idiot just sat there and said, yeah, I'll take it. Why not? We should be elegant. We should have the finest plane. If I work for the government and that plane is accepted, do not think for 1 second, because like the journalist said, if they do go through with this and retrofit that plane for Qatar as the new Air Force One, every nut, every bolt, every circuit, every resistor, down to the gram, will be scanned, torn apart, scanned, rescanned, and a third time, and a fourth time, until someone sits there and says, I think we've got all the listening devices out. I think we've gotten all the bugs out. I think we've gotten all the counter programming out. Because think about that. Several years and $1 billion. That plane, if they do it, if, like I said, it's a whole matter of ifs. If that plane is taken via the offer, it will take several years that plane to be deconstructed, cleaned out, reconstructed, and then brought up to spec. It would take years and over $1 billion. And this is coming from the same guy that talked about wasteful spending. He's compromised, ladies and gentlemen, and they own him. Saudi owns him. Obviously, Russia owns him because they've given him money. We kept asking this whole entire time, where was he getting his money? He was getting it from foreign soil. He was getting it from Saudi. As long as the Saudis have that oil field out there in the Middle East, they have power. Putin knows that he has Trump by the balls, so he can just call him up whenever he wants to. But what I'm getting at here, guys, is they're offering him resorts, his own buildings being built in these areas. Because keep in mind, it wasn't too long ago that he was joking about the Gaza Strip having a Trump hotel on it. And I don't even think it was a joke anymore. I think the simple fact of the matter is they want to clear those people out of the Gaza Strip to build resorts. Again, compromised president and two women in two different elections, both were right. And yet, Trump will try to reason his way out of everything. But here's the thing about a man that's too old to be president and too dumb to realize it. We can see through the bullshit. All I can stand and say, folks, the midterms is next year. You can definitely put a stop in F-47's tracks if the House and the Senate are broken up. When I mean by broken up, I mean broken from Republican oversight, over Republican dominance. Because, yeah, Democrats have been doing the work. And they can turn around and get the White House, get the Senate, and get the House. And if the Democrats get the Senate and the House, you could force F-47 to do a lot of things he doesn't want to do. And wouldn't that be the sweet irony of his second and last presidential term? But moving right along, there is another story we have from Trump. I still cannot believe this because, again, only in his world would it make sense that you want to pull someone from Fox News and put them in a very influential position in D.C.
Republican pushback, tanking one of President Trump's picks to serve as U.S. attorney. And the president tonight apparently considering naming Judge Jeanine to take that job in the interim, according to what one source familiar with his thinking confirms to NBC News. That source saying an announcement about Jeanine Pirro, the Fox News host, could come as soon as tonight, and that President Trump considers her highly qualified to serve as interim U.S. attorney in D.C. Caveat, obviously, nothing is final until it's final. Judge Jeanine's been a longtime ally of the president, who's had her share of controversial moments on and off the air.
My resolution, airstrikes. Bomb them, keep bombing them, bomb them again and again. The collusion, however, with Russia and Team Obama, not Trump. No one coordinated with Russia. No one. Not Donald Trump, not any Trump, not anyone on the campaign.
Keep in mind, the only reason for the vacancy for the job of D.C.'s top prosecutor is because the president's previous pick, Ed Martin, you see him here, was sunk after some GOP pushback in the Senate due to his ties to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. I want to bring in Ken Delaney now. So if Ed Martin and his nomination was essentially scuttled because of some controversies there, I think it's fair to say that Jeanine Pirro is not she is not a lightning rod as well. So what is the sense that we're getting from the Hill, from folks you're talking to, about how this may go over? It is an interim job, right? I mean, it's not as though we understand, at least in our reporting now, she's going to be the permanent pick.
Well, she's definitely not without controversy, Hallie, but she compares favorably to Ed Martin because he had no prosecutorial experience, whereas she was a 3-term district attorney in the suburbs of New York City, and she's also a former county court judge. As you mentioned, a source told NBC News that Trump considers her highly qualified for the job, and an announcement could come as soon as Thursday, and they would need to fill it as an interim role. You're right. And now, of course, it's also the case, as you showed, that Pirro has said some outlandish things while hosting a show on Fox News, including pushing bogus conspiracy theories about voting in the aftermath of Trump's 2020 election loss. Her statements came up in that massive defamation lawsuit filed by Dominion Voting Systems. And in documents made public through that lawsuit, we learned that one of Pirro's executive producers wrote that one of her monologues was, quote, completely crazy, end quote. Now, Fox News, we remember, paid Dominion nearly $800 million to settle that lawsuit in 2023. There's also an infamous episode way back in 2006 when Pirro was a Republican candidate for New York Attorney General. And just before our colleague Jonathan Dietz was about to break the story, she disclosed that she was under federal investigation for allegedly plotting to secretly record her husband to find out whether he was having an affair. Now, her former husband was a wealthy lobbyist who served 11 months in federal prison after being convicted on tax fraud charges in 2000. Donald Trump pardoned him in 2021. Jeanine Pirro was never charged in that case, and now she's in line, Hallie, to become a powerful federal prosecutor.
And that right there is the problem. That it's another Fox News person. I feel like, we got Pete Hegseth, hardly sober, always drunk, Pete Hegseth, who's now our Secretary of Defense. Now, Jeanine Pirro may become the interim U.S. attorney in D.C. I know a lot of people going, well, is she qualified? She's on Fox News. That alone disqualifies you. Alone disqualifies you. If you're on Fox News trying to make sense, that alone disqualifies you from office. Well, Pete Hegseth served, yes, in the National Guard. No disrespect for the National Guard. Anybody that serves, thank you for your service. But Pete Hegseth is the exact reason why a guy like him should not be Secretary of Defense. In the same sense, why someone like Jeanine Pirro should not be the interim U.S. attorney. Because her ties to a network that's used to funneling propaganda, lies, scare tactics, and bullshit. And now she actually, people are like, well, it's interim. It could become permanent. And how many more times are we going to keep bringing up the fact that, again, this is F-47 learning from his first time. He's not picking the most smart and brightest people. He's picking loyalists, those who will fall on the sword for him. And she's one of them. God help us all. Meanwhile, Republicans sit there and say in their bill to Congress, oh, we won't cut Medicare, we won't cut Social Security, we will not cut any of those things. Trust us. And there are those idiots that still vote conservative and get shocked at things like this.
Kids are moving forward with their so-called big, beautiful bill, despite division over major cuts to Medicaid and other programs. President Trump has repeatedly promised to only cut waste and fraud from the Medicaid program. Now Republicans are at odds over plans to impose work requirements for recipients, make more frequent eligibility checks, and penalize states that offer Medicaid to illegal immigrants. Let's bring in ABC News contributing political correspondent Rachel Bade for more as House committees now prepare to mark up this bill. So, Rachel, what more can you tell us about what's in this bill and what it could mean for Medicaid?
Yeah, I mean, the big headline here that Republicans want to talk about is the extension of the Trump-era tax cuts that passed in 2017 and the president sort of following through on these campaign promises to make things like overtime, Social Security, taxes on tips, basically take those away. But obviously, the most contentious portion of this bill right now is what's happening with Medicaid. I mean, Donald Trump said he does not want to see cuts to this program. He's promised that over and over and over again. However, his own allies and the president himself has said he is all for going after what he calls waste, fraud, and abuse. And Republicans take that to mean instituting basically work requirements, kicking, undocumented immigrants off Medicaid. They say they shouldn't be on there. And Republicans, even Trump allies, say that they think there is support by the public to do this. Now, there's still going to be headlines, as you know, Diane, about 10 million people potentially being kicked off this program. That's how many we're talking about here, according to some of the scoring. And that could be politically precarious, obviously. You know, a lot of Americans, when it comes to messing with people's health care, they just don't like it. So, you know, that's going to be politically tricky. But Donald Trump, I should say, he was able to sort of push back on the steepest cuts that we were potentially going to see, that a lot of conservatives on Capitol Hill actually wanted.
And President Trump is urging Republicans to unify around this bill, but some say they won't support it without major changes. So what are you watching for in these markups?
Yeah, look, the question obviously is, can they get the votes? Or when do they get the votes? How many changes do they have to make? I mean, Republican leaders, they have a really tricky balance they've got to strike right now. You know, they do one thing to appease one group of Republicans, it actually alienates another. And right now we are seeing people on both sides of the political spectrum in the Republican Party who are saying they're not going to vote for this. You have people in these sort of blue or bluer districts, more competitive districts, places like New York, New Jersey, California, who say the state and local tax deduction has not been raised enough to enable people to deduct their state and local taxes. And then you have conservatives who are saying they want more Medicaid cuts. But look, this is just phase one of this bill. It's still got to not only pass the House, it's got to go through the Senate. And we're already hearing from at least one senator, Ron Johnson, who's saying he will not vote for this bill. So it's going to change in the Senate. And remember, they do have an actual deadline here, Diane. They've got to get this done before they leave for August recess. That's basically when the debt ceiling deadline is going to hit. And if they don't deal with the debt ceiling deadline, which is actually taken care of in this bill, then we could see a default, which would really throw the economy into a total topsy-turvy.
So yeah, again, how many more times are we going to keep saying this? And it's amazing how many times more people are like, well, we voted for Trump because he said he could make it work. You fell for the bullshit once, and now you're falling for it twice. Because this, for a lot of Republicans, this is their dream. Paul Ryan is kind of mad right now because he wishes he could be a part of this. They wanted to go after Medicare, Medicaid. They wanted to go after all these things because that is the big cash cows. That's what they wanted to go after. And now they're pushing a bill forward that could potentially kick 10 million people off Medicaid. And I'm just throwing this out there. Watch it be the same people that are wearing the red MAGA hats. And then all of a sudden screaming, I didn't think this could happen to me. Because you thought you were special. You sad little person. Because that's what's going to wind up happening. 10 million people are going to get kicked off Medicaid. Those could be kids. Those could be senior citizens. Those could be adults with disabilities or issues or ailments. And right now, in an economy where the income is not matching the cost of living, and you're about to kick 10 million people off that, all I got to sit there and say, y'all, they're just waiting to get to August, and then they're gone, back to their districts and what have you, or vacation and doing nothing. And then, like I said, the midterms are next year. What do we plan to do about them? Because right now, Republicans are getting ready to get set and go and kick 10 million people off Medicaid and call it wasteful spending. I'm just saying. But speaking of things that are BS, Trump decided to look at Biden and then copy Biden, thinking that he could do better. Again, what am I talking about? His executive order on prescription drug costs being lower. How lower? Listen to the used car salesman.
Listening to President Trump talking about trade talks with China and a new executive order on drug prices. The president calls the talks in Geneva very friendly and says he could speak with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the end of the week. He also says China has agreed to remove its non-monetary barriers and open up to American trade. Trump also announced a new executive order aimed at lowering drug prices, calling it one of the most consequential orders in history. He says the order forces drug companies to charge the U.S. what they charge other developed countries, adding that the U.S. will no longer subsidize healthcare of foreign countries. Let's bring in senior White House correspondent Selena Wang and RSM U.S. chief economist Joe Bruce-Wallace for more. Selena, let's
stop right there. The fact that Trump really does believe that I'm going to sign an executive order that's going to cut down pharmaceutical drug costs between 80 and 30% immediately, almost immediately. Biden did that. Remember with insulin and inhalers, things of that nature? Insulin had a cap of $35, where it used to be almost $200 for insulin. And I always thought it was crazy. Life-saving or life-maintaining medications were astronomically high. And Biden and them sat there and said, oh, well, we can negotiate costs through Medicare. Because for all those people that don't remember, between the pharmaceutical companies and the health insurance companies, they like to play this game of ping pong. Oh, we don't control the drug costs. Go to pharmaceutical reps. We don't control the drug costs. Okay, pharmaceutical companies, you make the drug. Health insurance companies, you screw us over by paying the least amount of money and for the care that we get, and it's still not enough. And now F47 is going to sit there and say, I think we can do it. No, because that means that you would have to get the pharmaceutical companies and the American health insurance companies, all 5 of them, to get on board. And I don't think you can. Because again, they'll push back and sit there and say, well, what about our bottom line? About our profits? And that's how it will wind up. And it's crazy. And I've said this before about executive orders. F47's executive orders are no different than a white Karen's complaint at Chipotle. Loud enough to get everybody's attention, next to nothing on actual action. So again, they don't want to fix. And this is why I keep saying when I hammer on conservatives. Conservatives don't want to fix the VA system, don't want to fix the immigration system. Definitely do not want to fix the healthcare system in this country. Why? It's their talking points. It's their rallying points. It's where they can point their fingers at the Democrats, and the Democrats have a president and sit there and say, they're screwing you over. And people are dumb enough to go with it and fall for it every freaking time. But Will, it could be different. How so? Trump is not the miracle that you believe him to be. He is a con man. A con man. And I will say it every day on this podcast. F47 is a bona fide con man. And until people believe that, or until his cult finally stops drinking the Kool-Aid, he'll find a way to somehow slip out of it unscathed. I'm just saying. Especially the fact that 30 to 80, he sounds like a used car salesman. 80% off prescription drug costs. Oh, you know what? Would love to see that. But again, how it has been since his presidency has started 100 plus days ago, a lot of pomp and no circumstance. But I do feel for people that are living in New Jersey right now, because again, there is a strike that's going to happen on May 16th, and it will affect how you can get from home, from work, or anything else if you do use the New Jersey transit system.
Getting closer and closer to a potential New Jersey transit strike. The National Mediation Board is asking both sides to come to Washington, D.C. on Monday to resume discussions, as they appear to be at an impasse right now. Meanwhile, Metro North is working on alternative travel plans, as a strike could impact commuters from Rockland and Orange counties. Many of them rely on NJ Transit's Port Jervis and Pascack Valley lines to get to their destinations. Train engineers are demanding a raise and could be walking off the job a week from today if both sides don't reach.
I find it amazing that with everybody, all these, we've covered multiple strikes in the show. We've covered strikes from city workers. We covered strikes from nurses, from educators to teachers, and now New York Transit railroad workers, operators. And it's always the same thing every time. What is it? Better pay, better conditions. And it's always come down to People want to, I always say it best when they say, well, people just don't want to work. People would love to work. It's the fact of the matter is that people have to, people do have to pay. You do have to pay people a living wage because the one job is not simply cutting it anymore. And so these transit workers are saying, hey, either we get a raise or we're out. And yet it always is crazy that they want to challenge these workers. And I keep saying this is the power of unions. Unions do work. It is better to go in numbers than trying to be by yourself in front of these collaborations and corporations, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to laugh at you and nothing is done. But we will see what happens, because like I said, that's 2 days from now. That could impact a lot of people that use that trans system. But in all, just to keep it short, pay the people. It's not that freaking hard. I always find it interesting when folks just don't want to pay people more. People want to work. People deserve, but if people are working hard, you don't reward them more. You don't reward them with more work, more responsibilities for the same pay. You up the pay. That's how you keep people. Not that freaking hard. But speaking of things that should actually worry some folks, Nissan has sat there and said, let me pull this up. Nissan is about to slash 15% of its global workforce, or about 20,000 employees. This will reduce the number of its auto plants to 10. Well, it will reduce the number of their auto plants from 17 working plants to 10 under what's called a recovery plan to cut decisive bold action to enhance performance and create a leaner, more resilient business. In other words, we are going to cut jobs to save ourselves, but we're going to keep our profits. Now, why am I bringing this up? Well, because I live in Nashville. And in Nashville, or I should say adjacent of Smyrna, there is a Nissan plant, one of the bigger plants and more productive plants in the U.S. That will be impacted. And again, this is why folks sit there and say, you used to be able to put confidence in a job like that because there's a union there, it's constant work. Nissan has seemed to withstand the test of time whenever it comes to automobile sales. But with tariffs that are looming, with everybody not being able to afford, new cars and going to used car lots, and the used car lot prices are going right back up again, it does not bode well for auto manufacturers. And they're definitely not going to go back to Congress again. That's definitely not going to happen. So what happens next? Oh, well, we don't want to give over profit sharing, so we're going to let some people go. And this is why I sit there and say, boys and girls, giving a 2-week notice used to be okay before the year 2000. But companies will not do the same to you. Please protect yourself and behave accordingly. And like I said, it's just with the beginning of these tariffs, automakers are going to feel it. Textile people are going to feel it. It's going to be felt all across the board. Just saying. The only way that actually can work is, well, pay people. People work. Again, it's a math equation as old as time. And what I mean by that is folks who get paid more, work more, spend more. That's the way it's always been, and the economy has thrived because of it. But like I said, I digress. But the last story, well, a couple more stories before we get to our feel-good segment. This one, it still worries me. But again, this is the reason why I keep saying, whenever it comes to F-47 and DEI, he wants to remove everything black. Literally, this woman you see right here, Miss Hayden, she was the historian for she was literally the Librarian of Congress, the largest library in the world. The reason why? It carries every book that has ever been printed or written, physical and digital. Now, with that being said, Miss Hayden, the Librarian of Congress, was fired from her job because, and I quote, removing DEI policies that she refused to do. DEI comes up a lot, and it comes up a lot because a lot of people, mostly ignorant ones, are not understanding. Without DEI, there is no level playing field. It's funny how all the white folks, especially white men, are sitting there saying, well, you should be able to get a job based on your merit and your ethic of work. Well, it would be great if that was true, but racism is still alive and well. And the same white dude who sees you performing better than him will definitely not hire you, because in his mind, he'll sit there and say, well, if one comes in, they all come in. And don't get me started on women, because DEI was also there to make sure that women had an equal playing field in the employment, in it being employment or any of that nature, or even in the White House, or even on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But now the Librarian of Congress got removed because she refused to undo diversity, equity, diversity, equity, inclusion programs. I don't know how close we are to idiocracy right now, but it's pretty effing close. Because the first thing they want to make sure that you do is not think at freaking all. And the last story I got, guys, before we get to our feel-good segment, Drunk Pete Hegseth, or I should say Secretary of Defense, rarely sober Hegseth, is moving forward with removing troops that are transgender from the military. That count is now up to 1,000 new people that are going to be removed or discharged from armed services. Now, here's the crazy part. Outside of the 1,000 that are reported, there is a 30-day window to self-identify. So it's don't ask, don't tell, but we still want you to, because that's what it is. Trump wants to sit there and say, well, our military needs to be stronger. Your enlistment numbers have dropped. And now you want to remove 1,000 transgender people because you don't agree with the way they live their lives. And I just think it's crazy that these are the same men touting, well, there's already diversity, there's already equity. No, you're letting your white privilege speak for you, because it's without DEI, it's not an even playing field. And trust me, the job market out there is currently proof of that. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our feel good segment, guys. As usual, how the Frack got here, we usually cover a lot of things that are doom and gloom, sometimes make you faith in humanity. But hey, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thursday, and we will leave you guys out some good vibrations. Again, this past weekend was Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the mamas, grandmamas, great grandmamas, aunties who are basically like second mamas, and I can keep going down the list. If you made an impact and gave someone that type of motherly love, well, you know what I'm getting at. You deserve to have your day. But with that being also said, there was a certain woman that got quite the surprise on her Mother's Day. Check it out.
Welcome back to GMA, live from Times Square.
Welcome back, and happy Mother's Day to all the amazing moms in our lives. We're able to highlight a few of them on the screen right now. And we have very incredible surprise for one very special mom.
Yes, Eva Pilgrim is in Bainbridge, Georgia to do the honors. Eva, I think you're ready.
Okay, guys, we are here in Bainbridge, Georgia to surprise Patricia Isom. She is an incredible mother and a sixth grade teacher, and she is just inside there in what she thinks is a professional development meeting. Yes. All right, Mrs. Taunton, let's call her.
All right, Mr. Kirkland, make the call. Mr. Kirkland, make the call.
Let's see if they'll make the announcement. They should announce it over the speaker so she knows to come out. That's the plan.
Ms. Patricia Isom, please report to the gym this time. Ms. Patricia Isom, please report to the gym this time.
Y'all, she has no idea. No idea. How have you guys kept this a secret?
It's been very difficult. Very difficult.
She thinks that she's in this development meeting. Hi, Miss Isom.
Hi.
I'm Eva Pilgrim with Good Morning America. You're on live television right now. Hi, how are you? We hear that you are this incredible mom to not just your boys, but also to so many other kids. Okay. Just walk with me here. And so we got over 2,000 applications for this. And they chose you based on all the applications that came in because you are just such a special, special person. Thank you. We have a door here for you. You want to open that door? Come on, we gotta keep going. We got some friends. So this is your best friend Trini, right? Okay, so Trini actually made a full-on PowerPoint presentation about how amazing you are. Yeah, this is all because of her right here. Are you in shock? Yes. All right, so I want to show you what else we have surprises for here. Ready? Open that door. Spin that bed! Spin that bed! So this is breakfast in bed. I just want you to pop up over here. Get in that bed. Push your feet up. Relax a little bit. So, we have all your best girlfriends. We have your brothers behind you, your sons, your husband. They all love you so much. And here's the thing, we know how amazing you are, but we want America to know, so take a look right there.
Life has tried so many times to give her lemons, but she's decided every time to pull out her sugar, stir it up, and make lemonade.
For those who know and love her, Patricia Isom is a ray of sunshine who has never stopped shining.
She's just a loving person.
She has persevered. She is one of the strongest women.
In 2010, as a new mother, Patricia faced the loss of her husband on their 5th wedding anniversary.
That left her the sole caregiver of their 2 young sons. Andrew was only a few years old, and Alan was a few months old.
Trish, as her friends call her, remaining positive and focused on raising her young boys.
She'd do anything in the world to make sure that they're supported.
Eventually remarrying in 2012, but just 6 months later, her husband suffering a massive stroke. Trish by his side during his recovery.
All the time, that had to happen. That had to happen in order for me to be here.
And as Trish remained a pillar of support for her family and friends, she poured even more of herself into her job as an educator.
Discuss 2 ways that you can help your community.
Even being named Teacher of the Year.
She wants every child to succeed at their maximum potential.
She's a mother figure to some of these kids who don't have that warm mother role model at home, and she is that for our students.
At Bainbridge Middle School, where she works alongside her 3 brothers, her bright spirit inspiring students.
She was the light inside the room.
I've never met another teacher like Miss Isom.
She makes me feel like I want to go to school.
She had a very positive impact.
So this Mother's Day, we honor Trish for doing her very best as an educator, friend, and a devoted mother.
You are the strongest person that I know. I love you. We're here to honor you and keep doing what you do. This had to happen for you.
She's a great mother, and she's a mother to her students.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. I'm blessed to have you as my mother. I couldn't ask for anyone else, and you're just the best mom, the best.
Happy Mother's Day, Patricia.
Trish, I hope you have the best Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Miss Isom.
Happy Mother's Day, Miss Isom.
Thank you for all that you've done for me.
You are such a light, and the world needs more people like you.
Happy Mother's Day, Trish, the best mother that I know.
Is this what you expected when you woke up this morning?
No, ma'am, I did not.
To see all this love.
Yes. No, I did not expect it. I'm very grateful.
Trini, why did you want to nominate her?
Again, like I said on the piece, she's just the best mother that I know. We've been friends since I was 10, so that's 47 plus years. And she's just the strongest person I know. Again, she just wakes up every morning, turns those lemons into lemonade, and I love her for it.
You can feel the love coming off of her and how much everyone loves her. James, you're her husband. I know you've been looking around, you've been spotting all these different people here. Why is she so special?
She's compassionate, loving. She's a wonderful cat mom and a wonderful mom in general, especially to her students, because she basically adopts them as her own. They all call her Isams.
Oh, that's very sweet. Well, we have a special something for you here. Some people from the city of Bainbridge, you guys have a special announcement?
We do. Miss Isom, what a great way to end Teacher Appreciation Week and to start Mother's Day weekend. Thank you for what you are doing to give us future leaders with these students. The city of Bainbridge has decided that we want to declare today Patricia Isom Day.
And you have a little basket there for you as well. Okay. Guys, I think Miss Isom here is just now starting to understand. People have been pulling one over on you.
Yeah, I can't get over it. The people I live with, I'm just surprised.
Yeah, I said, that camera guy, you recognize him? He was in your classroom yesterday.
Yes, I thought it was for a college class or something. I didn't know it was for this.
It was for Good Morning America. And all of these people, I know some of your girlfriends, you haven't seen them in so long. Well, we have another surprise for you. We heard from a little birdie that you really love gospel music.
Yes, I do.
So we have 20-time Grammy Award winner, superstar, Kirk Franklin. Come on out.
How y'all doing?
What you did on Calvary
Yes, sir.
makes me want to love you more. I never knew I could be so happy.
Miss Isom.
I never knew I'd be so secure.
Because of your love.
Because of your love.
That's right.
Life has brand new meaning.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna be a brighter day, brighter day. Woo!
Oh, thank you so much, Kirk. You know, why was this so important for you to be here for this?
Well, you know, I was adopted and I didn't get a chance to be raised by my mother. And so when you talk about Mother's Day and when it comes to celebrating someone who's given so much, I mean, I had to show up. So I had to show up for you because it means the world for all the mothers in the world for me to let you know how valuable you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
To see Kirk Franklin came all the way to Bainbridge, Georgia, just for you.
Yes, I'm just I'm speechless, but I'm excited. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me lay on your shoulder.
Great.
These mornings are the best mornings every year, but this was really, really special.
And I thought that was pretty cool. Again, shout out to all mothers for this previous Mother's Day. Hopefully you guys were able to enjoy it, take some time off, get some peace to yourselves. Also, shout out to my wife because, she was a saint. Mother's Day did not go exactly the way we wanted it to, but she was still a trooper and a saint. And trust me, your boy is going to make sure that's paid back tenfold. But celebrate mothers because, you only get one. That being said, that's going to do it for this podcast, guys. Thank you all for watching, for liking, for sharing, for letting me know it's live. Certainly appreciate that. Shameless plugging before we get out of here. Shout out to APR TV. Why? Because our show can be found there. It's also APR TV, the app on Roku, also on Amazon Fire TV. Other shows, including Bird's Eye View, can be found on there as well. Definitely check it out. Also, BlurStation.com. I keep talking about a streaming service that is for us and by us, and BlurStation is it. $10.99 a month to stream BlurStation. If you are interested, go ahead and hit the Join Now button. Select the Bird's Eye View Affinity membership. Select myself, Black Spartan there. And again, $10.99 a month to stream Blur Station. Movies, television shows, art, things of that nature. It's only expanding. Again, blurstation.com. Definitely check it out. Also, runforoffice.org. You want to know how the crazy people did it? This is how they did it. They started off with basically typing in their address, figuring out where they can run, and then going from there. You too could do the same if you do want to serve, whether it's locally in your town or state, or on the federal level, whether as a senator or representative. Trust me, from a person speaking in Tennessee, we can use more of this. Simply go to runforoffice.org, type in your address, and you'll go from there as far as how you can get your name on the ballot and hopefully run to get elected. And I cannot stress enough how much we do need to have actors in Congress, not only to combat the conservatives, but to get rid of the old guard, the Democrats as well. Just saying. As for myself, guys, how the Frack we got here can be found on all socials on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll certainly appreciate that. I, my own self, Black_Spartan615, can also be found on the socials as well. Like, share, and follow me. Just don't be weird. I don't want to start blocking people. At the same time, guys, we keep saying on this show, yes, we do talk a lot about the doom and gloom of things, but hey, don't doom scroll. Take some time out for yourself. Find something that makes you laugh, that makes you happy. Check on your people, whether it's a phone call or text. And hey, if you have the ability to make somebody smile for a while, do so. The world could use more of that. Outside of that, guys, last thing is about how the Frack we got here. It's all about staying informed. We are not trying to reinvent the wheel, y'all. We are simply giving you the information allowing you to make up your own mind, but we do provide a logical perspective that goes along with it. We do better society once we're informed. We're progressive. We move forward. We try to right the wrongs of our past by making decisions now that we should have done back then. Like electing our first black woman to the Supreme Court, electing our first black woman to the Federal Board of Governors, and hopefully one day electing our first black woman to be the first Madam President. All great things. When we don't learn from history, we are doomed to repeat it. That's what we keep asking ourselves. Why does everything go about our paycheck? Why are we still listing the same old? Why are we getting different politicians but still the same old game in Congress? And most importantly, how the Frack got here. Thank you all for watching, guys. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and we will get through this. Have a good night, guys. Peace.